Hello and welcome to our next lesson from Soflex Math. Today we're going to be working on dividing fraction by fraction. So previously we have done whole number by fraction, so you can go back and review that if you'd like. And then our next two lessons will be on dividing a mixed number by a fraction and then mixed numbers divided by mixed numbers. Alright, so we're going to follow a couple of rules here, and if you can follow the rules step by step, I think these will be pretty easy to figure out. I definitely think that multiplying and dividing of fractions is much easier than the adding and subtracting, which we've already accomplished. So great job. Hopefully you're enjoying your success here in math and not getting frustrated. If you do get frustrated with a lesson, just go back and rewatch it and practice the questions again, and then come back and join us wherever you left off. So let's take a look and let's dive right into some dividing fraction by fraction. Alright, so we're going to start out with 5/6 divided by 1/2. So our rules are going to be to leave our first numbers the same. So we're going to rewrite our 5/6 just the way it is. The second rule is going to be to switch our sign, so from divide to multiply. And then our third one is going to be to flip this number upside down. It's called the reciprocal. So we're going to flip that over to 2/1. Okay? So our next steps, once we have our two fractions, is to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. And as we did previously with our multiplying fractions lesson, if you can always simplify. So if we look here at our 6 and our 2, all right, I know that the greatest common factor of 6 and 2 is 2. So that tells me I'm going to divide this number by 2 and the bottom by 2. So 2 divided by 2 becomes a 1. 6 divided by 2 becomes a 3. So I now have a new problem. 5 times 1 on the top becomes a 5. 3 times 1 on the bottom becomes a 3. And I now have an answer of 5/3, which we remember is an improper fraction. But when we do fractions, we need our answers to be mixed numbers. So I need to go ahead and divide this out, 5 divided by 3. So if I do that, a couple things. Remember, our denominator stays the same. So how many 3's can fit into 5? 1 whole. And then how many is left over? 2, or the remainder. So our final answer for our first problem is going to be 1 2/3. All right, now I want you to look at our second problem. If you look, it's 1/2 divided by 5/6. All I did is switch the order, but I want you to see how important it is when you switch the order in dividing. When we do multiplying of fractions, it's not really a big deal. When we do dividing, it definitely is. And when we see a problem like this, we know what to do. But if we're reading a word problem, and we don't know whether to put the 5/6 first or the 1/2 first, I'm going to try to show you that that's a major difference. You're going to get a completely different answer, even if you do the math right. But if you set up the problem incorrectly, that is going to be a problem. So when we get to our dividing fraction word problems, we'll look at that a little bit more closely. All right, so let's do this one real quick. So let's go ahead and rewrite our problem. So 1/2 times 6/5. Similar to up above, okay, we're going to be able to do a little bit of simplifying. So let's go ahead and do that. So now we have our 2 and our 6 again, so we're going to divide by 2's, but this time we're going to have kind of the opposite. The 3 is going to go on the top and the 1 is going to go on the bottom. So now we have 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. So this answer ends up being a proper fraction. It ends up being 3/5. So kind of notice, look at the difference. So it's opposite of our original improper fraction answer, 5/3. Now this answer is 3/5. So very big difference though. If you were working on a problem and you set up the problem backwards, you're going to get it wrong, because it would either be one or the other, depending which way you set it up. All right, let's try a couple more problems. All right, so let's rewrite our new problem. So we're going to have the 3/8. The first number stays the same. Multiply by 4/1. Okay. Look at these cross cancel. 8 divided by 4 is going to be a 2. 4 divided by 4 is going to be a 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. And then we're going to have to write that, as we said, a mixed number. So how many 2's go into 3? 1. What's left over? 1. Final answer, 1 1/2. All right, down below we have 1/6 divided by 2/3. So once again, 1/6 times reciprocal. Flip these over. 3 halves. And I see something else I can cancel. I see that I can divide a 6 and a 3. I can divide 3 by 3 to get a 1, and 6 by 3 to get a 2. And this one's going to be real easy. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. And we get a proper fraction again, so no need to simplify. So that worked out pretty nice for us. Let's look at the last two problems. All right, so now we have our last two coming up, so let's practice these together. So we have 4/9 times 3 halves. Okay, and this one I'm pretty sure that I'm going to find two ways to simplify. So I'm going to be able to do the 9 and the 3, and then I think I will also be able to do the 2 and the 4. All right, so in yellow, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2. In kind of the pinkish color, we're going to have 3 divided by 3, which is 1, and 9 divided by 3, which is 3. So we now have 2 times 1 and 3 times 1, and a very simple answer of 2/3. All right, let's look at our next one. 6/10 divided by 2/5. So 6/10 times 5/2. Same way, we're going to have a couple more that we can work on here. So I'm pretty sure that our 5 and our 10 we can divide. 5 divided by 5 is 1, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So yeah, hopefully you're seeing how important this cross-canceling idea is, because it's really making our work with these problems a lot easier. All right, and then let's look at the 6 and the 2 here, same way. I can divide each of those by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, and this time we're going to have 3 times 1 and 2 times 1, so kind of the opposite of above. And then we're going to go ahead and change this one into a mixed number. How many 2's can go into 3? 1, remainder 1, so 1 1/2. I think we had that answer earlier. All right, now let's go on to our final questions. So this last one is just kind of for fun, but what would happen if you had the same numbers? So we just flipped them over before we even started. So 3/4 divided by 4/3. So let's take a look at what that would look like. So we're going to go ahead and write it as 3/4 times 3/4. So we end up having the same numbers. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 4 is 16. So we end up multiplying basically the same numbers by each other. So that was just a little fun one to end with. So go ahead and work on the practice questions. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer those. Thanks for watching Soflex Math.